if you want to see definition in your core, we could do that without ever doing a single ab exercise. Dun, 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 dun. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Soda Personal Training Podcast. We help busy adults get strong and fit and stay that way for a really long time. And today, we're going to tell you why training your core doesn't work, at least not the way you think it does. Okay, I'm Coach Sean, here with Coach Phil.
What's up, gang?
Welcome back to the internet, Phil.
Oh, it's good to be back, Sean.
I know. The internet has missed you.
Has
for the
it?
last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this thing. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. We're going to talk about training core and training arms, because this is something that like everybody that I work with, whether it's in a one-on-one situation or in a group setting, wants to work core.
Yep.
We want to work core. We want to work core.
Yep.
Okay.
We want abs, right?
We want abs.
Because that's the reason, right? Everyone wants to train the core to get better ab definition. And the same is like with arms, right? Everyone is like, I want to, tone my arms, so I should do arm stuff, right? Not necessarily.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to cover today.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to bust some myths. Okay. There's going to be about 3 different myths we're going to talk through here. Then we're going to talk about 5 fundamental habits, as we have them listed here, that actually work your core. So like I said, there's just a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and everybody wants to look like that potentially AI generated guy or gal on Instagram with the 6-pack abs. And we're going to tell you actually how to do it. Okay. Should we go into the myths?
Yeah, let's jump right in. Let's re-educate in case our members aren't quite fully on board with this yet. We want to teach you guys the right way. So let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So the first myth is that spot reduction works. Okay. Spot reduction, meaning like if you do exercise for a certain part of the body fat is going to come off of that part of the body. Right. So that's the myth. Talk to me about, why it doesn't work.
Right. Well, at face value, I think when we train our core, we feel those core muscles burning, and we equate that a lot of times to burning fat there. Fat mobilization and fat reduction is a very multifaceted process. It doesn't even happen while you're actually exercising. It happens kind of in the background throughout the day, and with a lot of the habits we'll end up talking about here. But it doesn't burn fat there. There's been studies showing this numerous times. There was only one that I've read that said maybe it makes a tiny difference, but it's at too great a cost to have your program built too much around that.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And of course, if you want to have let's say you want to have your abs, your 6-pack, your ab lines or whatever, or any other part of the body show more definition. Of course, yes, you do need to reduce the body fat in that area, but it's in general not going to happen from just one area of the body, no matter what you do. It's just a gradual reduction in overall body fat, and therefore more muscle definition, AKA tone, which is a word that a lot of people still like to use, is going to show up more as you gradually lower your body fat.
Yep. If you want definition, it's all about sculpting some of the muscles that you have underneath our skin. When we have our skin, we have adipose tissue that sits above and between our skin and our muscle, right? So we burn that, we can see the muscles more. That looks toned. That's the firm look that people sometimes are referring to. But you got to do both, because you can also just burn body fat, and then you might not have much shape if you don't also sculpt those muscles and build them too. So keep that in mind. Let's jump into number 2.
Yeah. Now, and on that point, this is where I want to make sure that we don't lose people, because the way we're framing it is, yes, it does help to have core muscles, the rectus abdominis, the 6-pack muscles. Like, yes, those will show up more if they're larger, if they're more, if they're more hypertrophied is the word we use. But I think a lot of times the way that people train them, and even admittedly sometimes myself as a coach, we don't train it always the best way that we could. Okay. Which we'll come back to more at the end. And actually myth number 2 kind of hits on this. Myth number 2 is that you need to do either endless crunches for the core or arm circles for toning up your arms.
Or penguins.
Yeah. Penguins. Oh gosh, penguins. Penguins are good. I love a good penguin at the end of the workout. If somebody's like, I need to rest, but do something.
Yes. We do a lot of those. There's almost like filler exercises, like keep moving, work something.
Yeah.
But again, it's like at what cost?
Yeah.
Could something else occupy that time? both on an immediate basis and like from a program design basis, 100%.
Yes, because here's the thing is that, a lot of times you'll see these core circuits that involve like 50 or 100, bicycle crunches and then penguins and then back to bicycle crunches and then maybe like an alternating flutter kick thing or something like that. And not to say that there's no value to them, but think about it this way, okay? Every other muscle group in your body, when you think about training your chest or your shoulders or your back or your legs, right? Your glutes, your quads, what do you usually think about when you're thinking about how am I going to grow this muscle? You're thinking, I'm going to do an exercise with a weight that's challenging for like 10 reps or something like that. It could be a little lower, anywhere from like 5 reps all the way up to 15 or 20. But you're not thinking 50 reps of a chest press or God forbid 50 reps of a back squat or something like that. Yeah, no, nobody's doing that, right? Why do we treat the core, the abs differently?
Yeah. I think people do enjoy doing them. I mean, it doesn't, I think people request them because it's kind of fun to do like a burnout circuit. There's something that rewards our head when we do core circuits like that. Like people like it, it's burning, they're so sore the next day. Like, oh, it feels so good because this is the area I want to target.
Yes.
So we had this discussion on one of those previous podcasts about that value of like what's actually good and necessary. Maybe not someone's favorite. And then also the things that actually won't do much to get them in the right direction, but it keeps things enjoyable and exciting.
Right.
So there's kind of that blend. And that's why we still do some of these once in a while.
Yeah.
Because they're just kind of a fun challenge. Can you kind of fight through the burn? So there's some value in that.
But, I mean, I admittedly still do them at the end of a group class every now and then. Right. But, I'm going to come back though towards the end on like which exercises are actually probably the best for hypertrophying, AKA growing these 6-pack muscles in front, which will then therefore, as long as you have a low enough body fat percentage, which is way, way more important. Like, by the way, if you don't hear anything else in this episode, like if you want to see definition in your core, you have to lower your body fat percentage. Like for men, you got to get down around probably 10% body fat. For women, you got to get down probably under 20% body fat to really see the lines, right? So
everybody who's listening to this, you guys, everyone has a 6-pack abs.
Yes.
Okay. It's just, they're just a little bit hidden. So it's not like they don't exist. Everyone has them, but yes.
Dude, and then the arm circles thing, that reminds me of this like Kim Kardashian workout video.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it.
Okay. So, well, it was one of those, like, who Dr. Mike Israetil is?
Yeah.
Okay. He like does the celebrity workout critiques anyway, but there was a Kim Kardashian one where she's just doing these like everything you can possibly do with a 2-pound dumbbell in each hand, like with her arms.
I know which one you're talking about.
Like kind of curls from like a weird angle.
Yeah. Like for biceps. And it's like, unfortunately, no one's watching this knows that does nothing for your biceps.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they're kind of like dancing. Like there's no gravity that they're fighting against. The weight is like the same weight as her pinky finger. It's like no weight at all. It's like we're not doing any biceps with that. Right. And just dancing around with weights.
Tangent time, and then I'll be done.
Go ahead.
You don't want to like bastardize your workouts and try to like fit 2 things in.
Yeah.
My point saying that is like some of these cycling studios, they're kind of just like dancing on bikes and they've got like strength, but they have no more than 10-pound weights. It's not building strength. You might as well just cycle and then just strength train. And if you like dancing, like just do a strength training class and then just go dance. But you don't have to bring your dumbbells.
Yeah, exactly. And see, classes like that, they're good for your health. That's a cardio class. That's what that is.
Yep.
It's a cardio class.
Yep.
That's not a body composition class, okay? Yep. It doesn't relate to strength, nor does it relate to you changing your body composition. And this is a message that I really want to hear. I want a lot of our clients to hear is that, in my opinion and experience, cardio, I know this is not really an episode related to cardio, but cardiovascular training, cardio training, right, it's good for your health. Okay. It's good for your overall health, but it's basically a non-factor as it relates to body composition for the most part. Like that's an oversimplification, but it really is neither a good or bad thing for if you're trying to look better, right? If you're trying to increase your muscle mass, burn some body fat, recomposition your body.
Yep.
It's mostly a non-factor in that.
Right. Yeah. If cardio helps you create the right calorie deficit that will get you on track, then sure, it's a factor, but it's all subsidiary to, and you can also just control that through diet. So
Yeah, and like cardio in terms of trying to burn more calories, in my opinion, should be a last resort for somebody.
Yeah,
Like it's like what bodybuilders do at the end, the very tail end.
It's an uphill battle.
Yes, like bodybuilders who train for a show to get down to like 5% body fat or like 10% body fat if you're female. Like they only like throw in cardio at the tail end when they need to burn off every little last ounce of fat. And even then, I mean, we probably shouldn't have gone off on that tangent.
I know,
but like
we did.
for most of us, it's not even really. It's a non-factor. It's neither a good or a bad thing for your body composition. It's good for your health.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Heart health, VO2 max. You should not skip it. You should have some aerobic,
something
aerobic planned somewhere. But
yep.
All right. Lots of. Oh, we didn't even get to the third one yet. Let's do that. Then we'll start jumping into solutions after that.
All right. Myth number 3 is the core and arm workouts should be daily. I can make lots of jokes about why arm workouts should be daily, and we could talk about CT Fletcher. I train arms every motherfucking day for 22 years, or something like that. But
nice job keeping it clean so the kids can listen.
You see, I'm dropping my f-bombs today.
Yeah,
I'm cutting out my f-bombs. I'm bleeping them out. Okay, yeah. I mean, not really. You know, we shouldn't really train any muscle group 7 days a week, right? We should be resting muscle groups the same way you do, you know, your legs or whatever, right? So.
Here's a little spoiler alert for some of the actual things that do work is you're using your core way more than you think doing all the other big strength moves that you're probably already doing. So you probably don't need to sweat it too much. Yeah. And you don't need to build it in every day. If you like throwing them in, they're not going to hurt you. But again, think about what's the most efficient use of your time. If you're listening to this, you're one of our clients, you're probably pretty busy. So let's do what's efficient. Yeah. Leave time for the fun, colorful stuff afterwards.
Well, that's it. And what's efficient? Okay, so what do our clients want? You just said what's efficient. Okay, people want to come here for 30 to 45 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week and get the most possible out of their workout. Okay, so what we want to do, let's say your goal is to recomposition the body. Okay, and we want to be healthy too overall and everything. And by the way, this is good for your health as well. We want to recomposition the body, meaning we want to optimize muscle mass. Okay, that way when we do get our body fat low, the muscles will show, right? We want to optimize muscle mass, and we want to have in general as low of a body fat percentage as possible, right? The way we should be training in that short period of time that we have is the heavy compound movements that involve as many muscle groups as possible. So things like squats, deadlifts, you know, chest presses, overhead presses, rows, pull downs, things like that, because these are going to involve the major muscle groups. So you're going to get the maximum amount of muscle growth, not just in one muscle, but throughout multiple muscle groups. And by the way, the core muscles are involved in a lot of these.
They have to work. You might not feel it, but they're working on your deadlifts, your hinges, like everything. You have to stabilize that muscle group. So it's working. It might just not be fatiguing first, which is maybe why you don't feel it. But everyone loves the core. It's like, I want to get some core. I want to get some core.
And I could take someone and we could do a year of training. Let's say there's some, you know, let's just take a female who is 30% body fat and wants to see their abs. We got to get down to 20% body fat basically, which is very lean for a female. We could do that throughout the period of 1 year without ever doing a single ab exercise. Not saying we should totally avoid it, but we could do it without ever doing a single one. All we do is the compound lifts, and then she eats pretty well, meaning she eats enough protein to build and maintain muscle and the right amount of calories to gradually burn body fat. It has almost nothing to do with core training.
You should definitely train your core. If we're talking about you need more structural stability in your trunk, right? You've got a low back injury, you want to create some stability there. It's still not going to be crunches. It's there's some function to like doing sit-ups if you're older, so you can get out of bed and stuff like that. But like for the most part, especially crunches and stuff, you feel them, they're not doing you any good.
I mean. Yeah, well, we'll come back to that a little bit.
Maybe that was a little harsh, but
they're not doing any good.
Don't do them. I don't want to speak in definitives.
Okay. So habits that actually work.
Let's jump into that.
Okay.
Here's what actually to do. You get a pen and paper. Now, you guys, this is also like on a blog and our website. So all of these podcasts, we do a summary and we put them on our blog, which I haven't touched in years. And I was like, we should put this here. So if you want more of a Reader's Digest version, that is where you can reference it.
For the 2% of you who still read things.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, sorry. I'm just shouldn't be talking smack. Like, I don't read books anymore either. I haven't read a full book since like 2008. And then Phil will be like, here, guys, I bought this book about leadership. I want all the coaches to read. I'm like, Phil, what year do you think this is?
Books?
I don't have the attention span to read a book anymore.
I read every night. every night.
Wow.
It helps me sleep. It helps me. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So let's do it. Let's cover habit number 1.
Now that 50% of the audience questions my intelligence because I haven't read a book in 17 years. All right. Habit number 1. Okay. Focus on your protein intake for muscle definition. Wow.
Yeah.
Very concise the way you put that one. Okay. Yeah.
Protein blocks, they are protein blocks. Protein is the building blocks for building strength and shape to your body. Right? So you eat protein, breaks down into amino acids that rebuilds these structures that we're really creating these microscopic tears in your muscle tissue when we strength train. When you feel that rep slowing down, you feel lactic acid burn, there's structural damage on a very low grade. And with good sleep and good protein, that helps it repair. So it gets stronger every time. That's the idea of progressive overload. So we will never stop saying eat more protein because everyone could use another 20 to 40 grams.
Yeah. I mean, that last part is the really important part because I have never met anybody who would eat too much protein. I mean, it almost doesn't exist. You have the real nerdy people out there will be like, well, technically it's bad for your kidneys to do that. It's like, get
debunked.
out of here.
It's been debunked.
It's debunked. Yeah. And then the likelihood that someone could actually eat enough protein on a regular basis for it to be bad for their kidneys, like, trust me. Okay. I have spent, years of my life eating between 250 and 300 grams of protein per day. And this is not me saying, oh, my kidney levels are good once I got my labs checked, whatever. But like the effort that you would have to put in to eat enough protein for it to be bad for your kidneys, medical disclaimer, not a doctor, but the effort you would have to do that.
Very high effort.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. Okay. Yeah. So you're not going to overeat protein. Okay.
Yep.
And most people, even when you think you're eating enough protein, you're still kind of under eating for what we would consider optimal for muscle maintenance and especially for growth. Okay. Yeah. So what this looks like, you'll hear us say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight or target body weight because that's kind of simple. Okay. Yeah. It's oversimplified. It probably doesn't have to be quite that high. Yeah. But I'll just make the blanket statement that most men who are working out should be getting 150 grams or more of protein. Most women should be getting over 100.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, somewhere in those numbers per day. And that's every day.
Yeah.
That's not just the days you work out. That's
day.
7 days a week.
Yep.
That's Friday when you plan to just go out and have drinks with your people. That's Saturday when you woke up hungover and we're just going to go to like the pancake house or whatever. That's Sunday. Like, no, I'm talking 7 days a week. Okay. You're supposed to do this 7 days a week. Hit the protein target.
That's why we're calling these habits.
Yes.
Not just when we feel like it. And if we're overshooting protein a little bit with our goals, like it's somewhat intentional sometimes because we know it's probably not going to get that high. Like we know how hard it is. So it's like if you settle at 125 as a dude, that's still better than telling you get 125, then you get 100.
Yep.
So, and then the last thing that protein does that's kind of it's severely underrated is it is the most satiating of the macronutrients.
Yeah.
So if you're eating carbs all day, it doesn't fill you up. It runs through your system, breaks down to glucose, and then your stomach's empty again. Protein takes a long time to assimilate and digest, and so it just keeps you fuller for longer.
Yep.
So focus on that.
Protein and fiber. Fiber also satiates.
Yes.
Protein and fiber. Proteins, vegetables, some fruits. Protein, vegetables, fruits, repeat 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 15 years. And I swear,
you'll feel
you
great.
will be shredded, okay?
You're going to be feeling good.
Easier said than done.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
But, habit number 2, which we already talked about, is prioritize the compound lifts that engage the arms and core, okay? Another anecdote, all right? So back probably, I guess this is 2022. Like 2022 was probably when I was like the most meat-headed out of all the phases of my life to this point, okay? Like all I'm trying to do in 2022 is bulk up, straight up, right? And so I am literally like measuring my arm circumference like every couple weeks or something like that. Like we are measuring everything and I am slamming protein every day and obviously lifting weights. And when I got the most growth out of my arms was actually during a 3-month period when I didn't even do like bicep curls, tricep pushdowns. I just got way better at the super heavy lifts, you know, just like a heavy bench press, like weighted pull-ups, stuff like that. Like my point with this whole meathead, quote unquote, anecdote is that you don't need to do these isolation exercises such as bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, things like that to grow / define your arms. If you do the compound lifts and do them right, your arms and your core are involved in them. Not that there's no value, okay, in those triceps, biceps stuff. I'm just saying it's not really totally necessary.
Yeah. It's almost the same as training the core musculature. Like it's not quite the same based on those types of muscle fibers, but yeah, you don't need to sweat it. If you like doing arms, do it as a finisher. Like do it at the end. You know, you don't need your energy as much and you can do a little piece there. That's how we like to program it too.
Yeah.
But those of you working out with us here, you're going to notice in your programming, it's primarily 2 jointed exercises. So it's more lunges. You're not doing hamstring curls and stuff like that as much because it's half the muscle groups. It's just not as efficient. If we have 5 hours a week with you for 60 minutes, you're probably going to see some isolation or accessory work.
Which is what percentage of our listeners?
Probably
0.
1%.
Who's the one?
you know who he is. You know who he is. Comes 5 days a week. All right. There's only one. And we do isolation. But that's it.
That's fair.
But people don't usually come here 5 days a week or
exactly.
6. So anyway.
Habit number 3, train with intentional resistance and progressive overload. Okay. You want to go on that one? Should I go?
Lift heavier over time. Get your metrics. Like you got to track this stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, this is maybe, should we talk? Yeah, I kind of want to talk a little bit about like if someone is going to do ab work, let's say we're going to do direct ab exercises. Okay. Well, which ones do you like? Which strictly rectus abdominis exercises, ab 6-pack exercises do you like?
Well, yeah, I suppose I'm going to take a tiny step back and talk about the abdominal musculature, right? So you have, I believe, from surface inward to your core, you have rectus abdominis, those 6-pack muscles, right? You run down. Internal, external obliques assist with rotation. Then you have transverse abdominis that sits deep and helps keep everything tight. If I train core, I do a variety of things. My posterior core, my low back gets trained through hinges. I like doing leg raise variations or things that also involve the hip flexor because I do that co-ed soccer league. And so I'm doing a lot of quick knee or hip flexion. So that's beneficial to that part of my life. Other than that, I guess I like ab wheel rollouts. Those are fun.
Yeah. Everybody hates those.
I know. I want to try to do it on my toes one day, but I don't know. I got to really work at it. And it has helped with I guess I used to have low back issues. So that's more of an isometric move almost, but those kind of make me sore. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, I like the ab wheel rollout and it's very, very hard. You know, a lot of clients listening will know oh yeah, the ab wheel, he puts it in the finisher, the points game, and it's worth 3 points or maybe only 2 points if he's been losing a lot of games lately.
Do people do that a lot? Do they choose it?
You know, so I have a few clients and hopefully they listen to this that they do it and they do it really well and they absolutely whoop ass in that game when doing it because you can earn I give them sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3 points per rep.
Weighted pretty heavily.
Right? It's freaking hard. Yeah.
It's a nice way to get them to do it.
Exactly. And then they'll just do 30 reps and okay, I'm done. Took me 30 seconds. And oh, okay, I guess you win.
You see, we got you. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one because you do that ab roller wheel. You could do 4 reps one time and you're going to feel your abs for the next 4 days afterwards.
Yeah. Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, that one really does work. I like both decline sit-ups and reverse crunch sit-ups on that incline bench thing. Hard to describe without pointing it out. But essentially, I look for ab exercises that are hard, kind of in that 8 to 12 rep range.
You can hit failure in almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Because anybody who's doing more than 12 ab wheel rollouts, well, they're beyond. They've graduated my
got to scale it up.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that. Yeah.
And if you're trying to build those rectus abdominis, rectus femoris in the leg. What am I talking about? You can also progressively overload that. You know, ab training super heavy isn't that beneficial. There's some thought similar to calves and smaller muscle groups that they respond better to higher rep training. You know, if you're working in that 12 to 15 range, you're golden.
Yeah, that's some real bro science there. Like, I think there's value to it, like, yeah, the ones that,
Because they talk about my calves.
yeah.
Every dude's like, my calves? Yeah, my calves. They're not going to grow. They're
Yeah.
not going to.
Debatable. Yeah, no. You're probably right. Okay, so let's see. The fourth habit is should be like the number one habit forever.
Yeah.
Okay, manage body fat with consistent nutrition, not restriction. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to go on that one?
Yes. So here's what I'll say on this. Here's metaphor time. So if you are trying to do all the things right and you're like, well, I'm eating clean and I'm going to the gym and I'm sleeping every night, but you don't have any numbers around that, or you don't have any tracking methods. It's kind of like you're trying to, you're at the bowling alley, you're trying to get what do they call a strike?
A strike, yeah.
You're trying to get a strike, but you have your eyes closed as soon as you walk in the door, right? Like you got to find all the stuff. You're just not going to be positioned correctly to get traction on this stuff because you don't even know the score. So I don't know if you like that one or not, but you got to create awareness.
Yeah. That was a below average metaphor. You have a lot of good ones. That was maybe like
usually I go dartboard. I should have gone that. Maybe billiards.
Yeah. Phil likes to read his metaphor books before bed. Like I said, I haven't read a book in years and years and years. But Phil reads metaphor books.
Someday I'll write
weight training is like paying off your mortgage. You just do this.
Hey, that's a good one, and you know it.
That's a good one. How did that one work again? What's the mortgage one?
Strength training is like paying off a mortgage. You build the equity in the
and cardio is like paying rent, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cardio is like paying rent. Remember that. Okay.
That's right.
That's all you need to know.
Build equity.
Like okay. Yeah. Build your equity. Yeah. Okay. So what were we talking about? Managing body fat with consistent nutrition, blah, blah, blah. Something about a bowling metaphor.
Yeah. Just have some of a bowling. Just have a plan. You got to have a plan. Right. Like have a meal plan. Those of you here, reach out to Coach Ben. He does these. You guys can always schedule that 30-minute focus call via Zoom so you can do it from home. He'll get stuff ready in advance. He'll figure out what you need, and he'll put together an updated 7-day meal plan with 7 breakfast options. And he'll do it in a way that feels really achievable because we'll put the macros in there just in the recipes so you don't have to count things if you don't want to do that. Definitely don't need to weigh things. You can still make really good forward progress by doing it that way.
Yeah, there has to be a way of tracking it because, okay, I don't want to frame this if we want to make sure that we lose body fat, because like we said, 90 to 95% of seeing your abs is going to be what is your body fat percentage, right? Getting it down around 10-ish% or slightly below for males, and probably 20% or slightly below for females, right? You're going to see those ab lines, okay? And how do you get there? Well, you get there by strength training to build and maintain muscle mass, getting enough protein to build and maintain muscle, and by being in a slight calorie deficit over time. That way you're burning that body fat from whatever your starting point is, okay? And to get into the calorie deficit, you can do it without tracking, but it's much more guaranteed that it's going to work if you do track certain things over time, whether it is, your protein and your total calories, whether it's all your macronutrients, whether it's just by following the amazing Soda Personal Training Vault recipe book, to a T, whatever, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to do it, okay? But you have to have a plan, like Phil said. You can't just go into the bowling alley and do whatever Phil said about not rolling the ball at the pins or whatever. And don't eat at the bowling alley. They don't have healthy food.
They don't. And wash your hands.
Okay. Just don't go bowling. Okay.
Yeah.
None of our people go bowling. Okay. It's not even among all the activities that you can do. That one doesn't even get you moving. People be like, what should I do on the days when I'm not here working out? I would be like, just
bowling.
Walk or just don't go bowling. Okay.
Go bowling. Yeah.
Don't do bowling. Bowling, you stand up every 5 minutes when it's your turn and you roll the ball down the thing. Don't go bowling. Nope. Bowling is not recommended.
Pick up golf. More importantly, walk 18 holes.
Walk the course. I know nobody wanted to hear that.
When people say, what did you do for activity? Like, I play golf. I'm like, okay, cool. You usually do 9, 18. Yeah, full 18. I'm like, are you using a cart? They're like, yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
And it's like, are you drinking? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that changes things a little bit. But anyway, just look through some of that stuff with that scope. But just have a plan. If you don't feel like you have a good nutrition plan that's going to get you on the right track, reach out. Let's give you one that you don't have to do perfectly, but it's a good good targets to help get things realigned.
Yep.
What gets measured gets managed, and that's what we're trying to do. You can't just try to eat healthy, or if you have tried that, feel like you're eating healthy and not seeing the results you expect, something else is not working. So give us time. We'll help figure that out and help give you the right solutions.
Yep.
That's what we're here for.
Habit number 5, sleep and stress management. Easy, right? Nobody has issues with those. Just kidding, everybody. I'm sorry. I know that's the hardest thing. On this sheet, it says cortisol equals belly fat retention plus reduced recovery.
There's a hormonal component. We're not endocrinologists, but there is some research that says when you have high stress, the way that your body basically operates, you're going to have a higher chance of belly fat. We're genetically predisposed to where we store body fat. I don't think that's related to stress, but you're going to put it on more quickly if you're more stressed and you don't sleep well, because it's going to make eating well and exercising that much harder consistently.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm not going to add, we've ranted on sleep and stress enough. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard for most people. Yeah. Do your best with it. Okay. Where do we go from here? And we've got some things on the sheet that you kind of X'd out.
I know. I X'd out. Well, I put my bowling metaphor there. Yep. I said, what did I write down? I said, playing the game with your eyes shut. That's what that's like. I know. I one's beat. All right. I will say this, members, I hope you've checked out our member vault, which has a number of nutrition resources. Most of them are nutrition related, just to try to make or take the guesswork out of all that. You should have your own personalized plan. If you don't, let's get you one. The ones in there will work. They're just not as specific as we probably like. They'll improve the quality of your diet, but maybe the quantity won't be exactly spot on. So let us get that to you, but go to the sodafitness.com/vault, enter the password, just go check things out, download it, save it on your phone so you have access to it. We also have a restaurants guide. Like we have 20 some restaurants locally you can go to that we vetted the menu so that even if you go off plan, so to speak, you can go to a place and not feel guilty and then get right back on track afterwards.
Heck yeah. And then just like to reiterate, just the key points, the key takeaway here for core training and why it doesn't work the way that you think it works is because, like I said, if you want to see your six-pack, your abs, what you need to do is get a low enough body fat percentage in order for it to be visible. Yes, there is value in doing some, ab core, ab oblique exercises to add a little bit more definition, but you're never going to get those muscles that big anyway. So 90% of it is just body fat percentage overall. Spot reduction doesn't really work. So, we shouldn't be saying I'm going to train the core more to burn the fat from there. That's not really how it works. Okay. And in general, we should be aiming for core exercises that are challenging, that are appropriately challenging in like anywhere from 5 to 15 reps, but I like the 8 to 12 rep range in general. Okay. And so that's why a lot of times those core circuits that you see, people all around the world doing, especially influenced by these influencers online who, whatever, it's not that valuable. Okay. So if anybody listening to this, next time you see me create a core circuit for a finisher and I say, okay, do 50 penguins or whatever, you can either do it or you can stand there and protest with your arms folded and say, Sean, nope.
I know better.
You on your bullshit.
I listened to your podcast.
I heard you say that on a podcast.
I know that I should be doing something better.
Exactly.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, the influencer culture is a whole thing. But if you ever look at like a fitness model that's using some new device that they're curling some band with this bone arrow shaped thing, and this dude is jacked, right? And there's this tiny petite gal who's, got 12% body fat, right? They're saying this is what did it. They're all lying. Those people are lifting heavy weights in the gym and doing these things. This is the science. This is what does it. We've got enough volume of research on this now that that's what does it. So don't think you're missing things. There are no shortcuts to stay consistent. That is the biggest theme. And you don't have to be perfect, but just keep on going. Let us know how we can help.
Yep. And don't go bowling. I'm just kidding. You guys can go bowling. Okay. Are we done?
We're done. Yeah.
All right.
Any other closing notes?
I think we're done.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Ooh, last thing.
Oh, yeah.
We want more like a Q&A on these. So if you listen to this, please email me, Phil at Soda Fitness, and just say, hey, I'd love either you can give me your feedback on these in the formats, or let me know what you want to hear more of. We've got a list of like probably 75 topics that continues to grow. And we try to do these once a week at least. But if there's something you really want to hear, like we'll do it for you guys. Like, this is member-centered podcast. So we want to support you guys specifically on stuff maybe we don't always catch in the gym. So let us know what you want and need, and we'll get it to you.
Heck yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks, Phil.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.